So can you tell me how did you get started with Airbnb and short-term rentals?
Yeah, so we had the opportunity come up that our neighbor decided that she wanted to move out after recently getting married and wanted to sell the house. And we had been wanting to get into having real estate for quite a few years, my husband and I both. And it just wasn't the right time. And then all of a sudden, this opportunity came up, and we had been through something ourselves where our particular town doesn't offer a lot of short-term rentals. Because it's a college town. So it's really interesting that this all came up. It was just the right time. And we really fell in love with the idea of being able to host people and bring people in. And even though COVID, we were kind of coming out of COVID, but we had that opportunity to meet a lot of new people and host them and really provide a safe and clean environment for them and their families.
That's amazing. And how did it cost a lot to acquire that property right next door? Did you have to do a lot of financing and stuff?
Yeah, we did finance it. We did a traditional conventional loan. And we did get a fixed rate, and we got a pretty good rate last year when right before the rates started going up a little bit. So it was quite a blessing. And the way that it came about, we really are just so fortunate to have the opportunity.
Did you get a low interest rate for that one?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. We were able to secure under 3%, which is
3%.
Yeah, pretty good.
That's really low.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That's amazing. And
yes, I agree.
Did it take a long time to be approved, the loan, or was done immediately?
Yeah, we actually work with a small town a bank, and the loan company that's part of that is amazing. We have a relationship with them. We've done business with them between myself and my husband, even before we got married, for probably well over 30 years. So when we walked in and presented the opportunity, they were very excited for us. And the approval process actually was pretty quick and easy. And we were a little bit shocked, to be honest, just because of everything. And with COVID, we just weren't sure, how economics and how it was going to work out. But it all worked out absolutely wonderful. I can't stress enough working with a small hometown bank and having that type of relationship. It just really made the process really easy.
That's amazing. And can I ask you, if you want to share with us, how much was the property price?
It was right around 200,000. But the best part is, with the rates right now, we really see this as a long-term investment. So our goal is to keep the house and maybe one day retire in it. We're not really sure, but we truly love the house. It's right next door to our own, and the property is really beautiful. So it's kind of exciting to be able to offer all of this. And I'm sorry, my nerves are getting to me. I apologize.
No problem.
Sorry about that. So yeah, it's a really great home. It's a typical home value for our area. So it's not on the low end, it's not on the high end, and it's been a well-maintained, and we know the builder because it's the same builder that built our own home. So we're really familiar with it.
And from the very beginning, were you thinking about doing Airbnb on that property?
So initially, we thought if we purchased a home that it might be a place for my mom or my husband's parents if one day they wanted to move in, if they needed a little extra care, or us, to be closer to them. And when that kind of didn't happen, and my mom in particular didn't have that interest, she likes where she's living, we immediately, I don't know how, but my husband and I were on that same track, and we looked at each other and said, yeah, this would be a perfect opportunity for an Airbnb or short-term rental. There's so many neat qualities about the house and the property that just make it perfect for that type of rental. And it's been, I would say that based on our success in just such a short period of time, that we were right about that piece of it. So
what are the special things that the house has that makes it special for short-term rentals?
So for us, what we found with most of the competitors in the area, lots of the places in Northwest Ohio, we're not really a traditional vacation rental spot. You know, we're not on the beach, we're not in a big tourist trap area. So for us, we really thought that this is going to attract families. It's going to be bringing people in for the small university that's here, maybe some events in a larger town close to us or a larger city. But we really weren't 100% sure. So the best parts of the house is we have a recreation area in the basement. A lot of our competitors don't have that. I know these are things that maybe some other, you know, larger cities might have available in their area as far as amenities, but in our area we don't. So the backyard is fully fenced in, and we have gardens and flowers that we maintain. I know last year in particular, I planted at least 60 varieties of different plants and things to really make it beautiful, you know, a nice serene setting. We offer a fire pit with, we provide all the firewood. We offer a couple of hammocks. There's a deck in the back on the ground with seating outside and a table to eat. We also decided that between the house and the garage, there's a breezeway. It's kind of an interesting space, and we were trying to decide what we wanted to do with that. And very quickly, we came up with the idea of putting a hot tub in there. So it's kind of become our hot tub room. We designed and built or installed a custom garage door, so that garage door can open up into the backyard. It not only provided, you know, a really nice way for ventilation, for it to be able to see into the backyard, but it also allowed us to get that hot tub into that space. It keeps it cleaner than if it were in the backyard itself. And it also allows us to add a heater in the wintertime so that we can keep our hot tub running year round, even with our cold weather here in Northwest Ohio.
Wow, it has a lot of cool amenities. What's the recreation area you said there was in the basement?
So we have currently, so the theme of our house is mid-century modern. So I've tried to incorporate a lot of unique and fun games and things like that that would have been a little closer to the turn of the century, or at least available in the turn of the century, along with some new items and games. We have a board game table that is originally from, I think we dated it to the 70s, early 70s. There's a foosball table that's older, and we have a lot of families that really like that. Kids that walk in are surprised how much they really enjoy that. And then there's a little excuse me, there's a little area in the basement right off of the rec room that actually was set up as a little exercise nook for the previous owner. So we decided to put in a floor mat that could be your yoga mat. We have a yoga ball, some other amenities, and it has a balance bar on the wall, as well as full-length mirrors in the entire space. So it's a little space that you could do your yoga, meditation, do a little bit of exercise, etc.
Sorry, my microphone wasn't turned on.
That's okay.
So it really has everything, right? It has.
We're really trying, and we add games and we're trying to upgrade the space every moment that we get. It's not something that we feel that, you know, we can just start it up and say, here you go, this is what we have, and that's it. We really try to listen to our guests and try to offer things that will really attract the type of guests that we want. And we've been very blessed with getting some amazing people to come and stay and just being able to meet those people.
Yeah, and with all those, you know, incredible and fun amenities, you must be the busiest Airbnb in your town, right?
Well, you know, we would like to think so, but I hope so. We definitely offer more amenities in that way than some of the other local competitors. There are only a few really in Northwest Ohio in general that offer a hot tub, and I don't know of any that are in an indoor type space.
So currently, how's the market in your area?
So the market in the last year since we've been in business has actually been pretty good. We typically are booked almost every single weekend, even in what some people might consider the off season. I don't really know that I would call or say that we have a traditional off season or on season in this area. it could very well be the fact that we have a hot tub inside. We seem to, during what I would consider the winter months, or what I would have assumed would be the off months and the off season, we had a lot of people come from all over the state of Ohio, even as far as 6-7 hours away from West Virginia, because they wanted to spend some time in a hot tub. They love the idea of it being inside and having a little bit of heat and a nice clean area. So we've actually attracted people from quite a distance just because of that hot tub during those winter months, which typically I would think would not be, more of a traveling type of month. We also have a number of families that come in for the university. So we're able to kind of accommodate a lot of those families that would normally have to get 2 or 3 hotel rooms. They can stay in our one house, a full house with 3 bedrooms. So, and be able to enjoy those amenities on top of it.
So it's not very busy, basically.
Well, we didn't figure that our particular area, again, because we're not in a traditional tourist area, we really planned on weekends and occupancy partially during the weekdays. So what some people might see, say if I were in, Myrtle Beach or in a beach town, I would think that our occupancy levels are low. But considering the fact that, we're priced right, we have we figured all of those kinds of things out number wise, and we've based our pricing on occupancy of about 40%. So we know what we need to cover cost wise, and anything above and beyond that goes back into maintenance, et cetera. So we're not doing this as our salary. We're not trying to replace our salary at this time with this particular rental. So it's giving us a really great opportunity to keep, we've still only had this property for about a year. So we're trying to make sure that we're continually doing maintenance and making it better. And one of the really important things too is because we're in a family neighborhood, we're not on the commercial side of town or even on the side of town with all of the college rentals. We really want to maintain the house and have it be, as high a quality as it can be, both visually and, as far as value for the neighbors as well.
Yeah, I completely understand. Now that you told me about the type of guests you usually get, what's the demographic that you have seen more getting to your arena?
So there's really kind of 2 that I would say are pretty even. So a broad majority of our winter guests, so those traveling in the wintertime, which again is usually, this is area of Ohio, can be really icy, really, really cold, really windy, et cetera. Or it could be 60. So this is Northwest Ohio. But typically, what I would say is that during those winter months, we have mostly couples that come to spend time. We've had a number of anniversaries, couples just getting together, getting away from the kids for a weekend, et cetera. During the rest of the year, I would say that there's kind of a balance between some families wanting a getaway, just want to go somewhere new and different. And again, even though this isn't a traditional vacation spot, we do have some really great things to see. The Toledo Zoo is amazing. It's only about a 25-minute drive from here. There's some really great venues that have artists, music artists, etc. We've already had in the last 6 weeks, I would say we've had 2 guests that came during the middle of the week to stay because they were going to go see either a country artist or a Christian artist up in Toledo, which is, again, it's only about a 35-minute drive to that venue. So we've even had people come for Cedar Point. And that's about an hour drive, but it was still, they found that our amenities were worth a little bit of a drive.
Okay, I see. And you talked before about the occupancy rate, right? You said yes. You keep it out 40 and 50?
It's between 50 and 60%. Most of the time, almost every weekend is booked. We have a 2-night minimum. So it's typically Friday, Saturday, and then check out on Sunday. We have a number of people that stay longer than that, but that's kind of the standard. We base that what we need to make and all of the finances when we did our cost of doing business to really be a 40% occupancy, to be able to cover all of our bills, to do everything that we need to do. Right. It still seems to say it, it sounds like it's low, but we actually are doing quite well for the area. Looking at some of the competition, et cetera, without some of the amenities, their occupancy rates are considerably lower. So we're pretty happy with where we're at right now, and we're constantly trying to improve and add things that will, attract more people and make it even more comfortable.
And how's the rental doing weekdays?
How's the rental doing with this? With
Weekdays during weekdays. Sorry.
weekdays. I'm so sorry. Weekdays.
Sorry.
Yeah. So our weekdays, it really varies on the month. Last month we had quite a few weekday rentals, and this month we don't. I've not quite seen, a rationale, or I don't have a rationale for why. I think it really just depends on events going on. It's interesting to see, with Airbnb in particular has a new search engine. Those kinds of things, we'll see how that goes. Right now, it hasn't been as, I don't know what I want to say. The new search engine hasn't been as generous to us, but I think the economy is having a lot to do with that as well. So, we're quite comfortable with where we're at, and we know that we can, quite easily be booked one weekend a month, and pretty much all of our expenses are covered. So it's a comfortable place to be.
But about the new search engine, I've heard from other hosts, like from all around the country and other countries as well, that is not working for them, right?
Yes, so I can say confidently on our end that we have not had a booking since they changed that. So I haven't even had a request, an inquiry. It's a little concerning. So, hopefully Airbnb is listening to what the hosts and even some of the guests are saying about how that's working or not working for them. I can't say for sure if it's that. I can't say if it's just the economy. I can't say, I'm assuming it's a combination of both. But really, in the grand scheme of things, we took on this house and the rental and the short-term rental idea with a lot of faith. And we know that, we have the numbers right for what we need, and we're pretty comfortable for the next 6 to 8 months. So we'll see how it goes. I think things change, everything's cyclical, the same with the economy, Granted, we're going into a rough time right now, and I certainly hope that transitions pretty quickly, but eventually it will. So, we just have to make smart business decisions now to get us through until that time.
Yeah, and about the algorithm, it's just like a question of time. I think hosts should learn about it. The thing about Airbnb is they drop like this and they don't teach you how to use it in order to, take advantage of it.
Yes.
So nobody really knows how to use it, and everyone is kind of lost, right?
Yeah, I agree. There was definitely some interesting with the rollout. There was just a lack of information, I think, for a lot of people. Even as a guest, I've logged in and used Airbnb since the rollout as a guest. And as a guest, even searching for what I wanted was a little more cumbersome than what it used to be, or what I remember it being. I don't use it all the time, so but what I remember, it was a bit more cumbersome, and I didn't quite find what I thought I would find. But it's, again, I think that Airbnb is a smart company. I think VRBO is a smart company. I think all of these other companies out there that provide this type of service for hosts to host your homes, your short-term rentals, they're really smart, and they're going to get it right. They just need to listen to what the feedback is right now, and make those adjustments, and we'll all be better for it.
Yeah, that's right. And now that you mentioned about VRBO, do you use other channels like VRBO, Booking, private website?
Yeah, currently I'm on both Airbnb and VRBO. I also am on Howfee. And I'm looking at adding a website right now. I'm waiting just a little bit of time to kind of see how things are going to pan out in the next couple months with with the search engines, with everything going on. I feel like I mentioned, kind of making smart business decisions at the moment. This might not be the best time to put a large chunk of money into somebody building a website for us, but it's definitely on the back burner, and I'm excited to get that going once I'm a little more confident in what the economy is going to do.
Yeah, that's right. I've heard that most hosts are trying to open their private website, for bookings because of this
Yes.
whole Airbnb thing. And
Yes.
let's see how it goes, because we don't know if it's going to be beneficial for the short-term rental, market or not.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. The biggest challenge with having your own website, I've had my own website for another business for a lot of years, is, that SEO is always difficult, especially if you have a lot of competition. So, there's a lot of time and money that you can really sink into doing a website. And again, I know that it's absolutely necessary. It will be something that I do. For us, Airbnb and VRBO and Howfee so far have been really great to us. But again, it's definitely in the works. And I think that, as a small business owner, we're small, we have one property right now. Eventually we'd like to have more, but we really want to just get this right and make, those best decisions, and then, decide later on to move forward. But, I really want to kind of build a presence and get some social media going as well. So, until that time, then, for right now, this is what works for us. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And how
Yeah.
is how is VRBO going for you?
VRBO is a really good platform. It really depends on the time of year for us so far. Initially, we had a lot of bookings through Airbnb, and then it kind of switched, and for some reason it was almost all VRBO. So I would say that probably about 60% book through Airbnb and about 40% through VRBO. Howfee so far isn't as well known, but as that gets out there, there are no hosting fees. So it's kind of similar to having your own website without having your own website. So it's a nice option for guests to be able to book. Right now, I don't push anybody to go to that particular site unless they've already stayed with us at least once. And that way we've had a good experience with them.
Oh, that's great. And what's the general experience with both of them, like VRBO and Howfee? What's the quality of the guests you get there? The fees, how much do you change your price on those?
So we've tried to keep things simple. So I understand that there are a lot of pricing mechanisms out there. There's a lot of different things that you can use to do that. I basically set up 2 seasons. And I use OwnerRez to connect both or all 3 of those platforms, and I'm integrated on all 3. So I really haven't changed the pricing on any of them. My pricing is the same flat for all 3. The difference with, Howfee is you're not paying those fees for the hosting site. So they're not having to pay those. So if a guest wants to go through Howfee, they do save some money on the tail end of that. As far as, Airbnb and VRBO, they're both, I haven't had any issues with either one of them per se. As far as guests, I think we have similar quality of guests. If I really had to kind of nitpick, I think that Airbnb, we tend to get more couples or more small groups. Like this last weekend, we had 5 or 6 alumni come that graduated 15 or 16 years ago from the university here in our town. And they were great. They were fantastic. They took great care of our house. They left it really clean. And I would say that on VRBO, we tend to have maybe a few more families, but not always. That's not always, and it's not really an exact science, I guess, because we kind of have a little bit of both on each platform. But yeah, I think that that's probably a fair assessment, though, as to the type of guests that we get. But I can't think of one that we've had a problem with. I mean, we've had absolutely amazing guests.
Oh, that's amazing. And also it's amazing that every, site works well for you, because there are some hosts that don't like VRBO because, the quality of the guests and stuff like that, right?
I have heard that. I've heard that about some other platforms as well that I've looked into. I can't specifically, I don't want to call anybody out or any particular site out, but, I've heard that there are less than quality guests on other platforms. And so I proceed with caution. I've been looking into some other platforms right now. I just haven't seen the benefit of some of the smaller hosting sites. it's very difficult to deny, like some hosts don't like Airbnb, and I get it, and that's fine. I've seen some really interesting, information come from people, complaints, etc. But it's really hard to deny when most short-term rentals, it's kind of like Kleenex, when everybody talks about facial tissue, they say, give me a Kleenex. It doesn't matter if that's the brand or not, so Airbnb has kind of taken on that general short-term rental name. So it's very difficult to deny Airbnb and VRBO and the amount of advertising that they put in for their hosts to get the sites out there. So, for now, at the moment, we're doing quite well. I think you have to be smart about anything you do, any decision you make, and understand that, these are just hosting sites. Ultimately, this is my home that we're sharing. Ultimately, I have to, set my own rules and do what I think is right for our business. And not expect too much, to be honest, from some of the hosting sites. I do have amazing insurance, and if there's something I could say to any host or anybody getting ready to host is get a good, excellent quality insurance company and make sure that you get a really good plan that covers just about anything. It's difficult to find in some areas in particular, but we've been very blessed with Travelers Insurance that they have a great short-term rental policy that we were able to purchase and put some additions on. We have an umbrella policy for liability, et cetera. So we make sure that we're covered. Airbnb and VRBO, their reimbursement for damages, et cetera. I mean, they're great for small things if that's what it comes down to, but that really shouldn't be what we rely on as a business, I don't think. That's just my personal opinion. So
yeah, makes a lot of sense. You shouldn't rely on any platform. Every platform can have 9 more guests.
Right, exactly.
It's not just for VRBO and all this stuff.
Yeah,
so I think it's very true what you said.
Yeah.
So one thing that I would like to ask you about is what's your average daily rate that you have?
So during the on season or the busy season, I guess if you want to call it that, if I really have one, we're right around $300 a night. And during the off season, I believe I'm somewhere down around $250.
So you don't lower it too much. It's just 50.
No, I haven't lowered it too much. We haven't noticed that there's, as I mentioned before, there really isn't a true on or off season per se in this area, because we have a university here. We do bring in people for, there's a big hockey program here, basketball, et cetera. So during those winter months, we still have a fair amount of families, et cetera, that come into town to attend events at the university. So we've done quite well with where we're at, and I like to keep things simple. I was a photographer for 25 years, and every other photographer around me would have 15 different price lists depending on what the customer was. I've always felt that that's confusing. I don't think that makes a lot of sense to the customer, and I've always tried to keep things simple for myself and for them. So I kind of take the same theory. I know that I could probably use Price Labs or a number of any of the other things out there that go in and make sure that they update pricing almost daily, depending on what hotel rates, et cetera, are. I don't feel that's necessary for us. And we're not in this just for the money. We truly, truly love hosting. I mean, I can't tell you the joy that we get when we meet our guests. We greet them at check-in, and we just have a quick conversation. We show them around if they want to, show them where, it's important to me that they know where safety items are, fire extinguishers, first aid kits, et cetera, and that they know how to operate and they're comfortable with a hot tub and even the garage door, the custom garage door. So putting it up and down. We just want to make sure people are comfortable and have the best time they can and aren't searching around the house for something if they really need it. So.
Yeah, and you're right next door, so that must be really helpful for them.
Yeah, it is. And it's going on 1.5 years, and I would say that I think we've only had maybe one person that's even needed us to come over, and it was really because there was a small storm and a limb came down in the backyard, and we just went over and removed it from the backyard so it wasn't in their way. Otherwise, we try to make sure that we're pretty thorough, that the guests are set up and ready to go with all the extras that they need.
Okay, that's great. Can you tell me a little bit about your revenue, during the busiest months and the slower months? So it only goes down by $50, your rates, but still
Yeah.
I'd like to know about revenue in those months.
Revenue, we probably make,
Mhm.
oh goodness, I didn't actually pull these numbers. I'm sorry. So, we had just about half a year last year, and we brought in around $26,000 for just over half of the year.
Mhm.
Not knowing kind of what we were doing. The first few months, the price was a little bit lower. Our hot tub we had to order, and it wasn't installed until August. So I didn't increase prices until then. So we had, I was closer to $150 to $200 a night before we added the hot tub. And just to kind of generate some business initially for that first month or two. And then we increased prices a bit to be a little bit more in line with what you would pay for a couple of hotel rooms. And to cover those costs, of course. We knew where we needed to be, but we certainly needed to generate that business and get some reviews too, so we could get some people in the door. We were very blessed with being able to, pretty much book almost immediately and get people in the door. I've made some connections to networking on Facebook and some groups for parents and people that attend the university. So that really helped kind of give us a jump start. And I definitely recommend that for anybody that's looking to get a short-term rental going, is to make sure that they get networking before they get open.
That's right. And do you have like an estimate numbers of how much, you made the first year?
Yeah, it was about that 26,000, and then
26,000.
that was only for about 7.5, 8 months.
Mhm.
So, and again, that might not seem like a lot to a lot of people, but considering what we purchased the house for, what the economy is like where we're at in our area, not being a tourist area, it actually it's pretty good. I was very excited about those numbers, considering that most of that money is, the first few months at least, was considerably lower, nightly rate than where we're at now. And having the hot tub, of course, made a huge difference. But, we're on track. I think we've already made that much this year so far, and it's, just now the beginning of June. So we're certainly on track to do considerably more this year. We're very happy with what we know that we have in it and our expenses, et cetera. So we're putting a lot back into it. We've done some remodeling, minor remodeling in the basement to make a space available for guests to use the washer and dryer. We put in a brand new Electrolux washer and dryer. So there's a quality down there, both for our use and turning, because I literally wash everything every turn. Every single blanket, sheet, et cetera, gets washed between comforters, everything. So we wanted to have something that was nice and efficient, both for ourselves and for the guests.
Well, so it's going really well for either for last year and this year. It's going pretty well.
Yeah, for us and for our market, absolutely. Yeah, and every market is different. So, there are times where I see people post on Facebook in these host groups about, they made $300,000 last year. That's fantastic. But then you ask them where they are. They're in a really high, economic area. The prices of everything are, maybe 10 times what we have. It's pretty amazing that people are able to do that. This is an area we never planned on that. We never figured that was going to be the case. And I think that there's probably a lot of short-term rental owners that's the case, that they're in places such as us, a small town, et cetera. When you see those numbers, you see other people post those numbers, I don't let that intimidate you, because it can be very easy to look at that and say, wow, and then compare what you're doing. For us in our market, we're actually kind of killing it. And I'm super excited, about that. So we kind of lead the area with our pricing. So.
Oh, that's really amazing. So congratulations for that. And one last thing that I would like to ask you about is if there are any tips that you'd like to give out for Airbnb hosts.
Tips, gosh, to me, I think one of the best tips that I received, before I even started, is I joined a lot of these Facebook groups for hosts. Some of the stuff that's in there is really great. You kind of have to weed through it. There's some maybe not so great information, but there's some really good information in there. And I was able to hook up with a super host for Airbnb, and I think she was a premier host on Vrbo as well. And we were able to hook up, and she was able to walk me through some of the setups. There's some little nuances in the websites when you first set it up. She shared with me some information on how she runs it, and it absolutely made sense for me. So I recommend, as far as a tip, connect with someone, connect with another host, super host that has been at it for at least a year or two, that you can really get some good information. And it is a similar type of market, right? So
Right.
I would never, it's not going to help me to connect with somebody who has, 10 huge condominiums, in Myrtle Beach or Miami Beach or whatever. I really want to connect with somebody who has a similar type of market. And so for me, it worked out really well. We personally, there's so many different ways you can do a short-term rental. We meet our guests. I have a conversation with them. I do not do instant book. And we actually meet and we have a conversation. Some people don't like that, and that's fine, but we make it known that, we have a quick conversation, and then we leave them alone while they're in the rental unless they need something. But for me, that the biggest tip is really just to connect, find somebody that it looks like you can respect, and that they have a similar type of market, and just connect with that person and let them kind of help guide you through some of those basics, and, ask questions and bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Thank you a lot. So that'd be it for today. Thank you a lot for your time, and thank you for your tips as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.